One of the old coaching cliches that we all heard growing up and even use as coaches now is to keep the head down on the ball or see the ball all the way in. And I've learned through these last 7 or 8 years that I don't use it anymore. I won't tell any player ever again to keep your head down on the ball. I won't tell hitters anymore to see the ball all the way into the strike zone. Why not? Well, I've come to learn that we need to do just the opposite. Not focusing on the ball all the way in, but bring focus and bring attention to the ball early in the flight path. Now, when I've done that, or sometimes just by teaching the correct timing pattern, guess what happens? The player picks up the ball early in the flight path automatically, instinctually. And that's what he's thinking about doing in the back of his head, is to find the ball. And the earlier we see in the flight path, the more time the brain has to register its next thought. Even if you just see the ball 6 inches earlier than you normally do, your body has more time to register its next movement. You'll be surprised and you'll see that hitters hit with more power because they see the ball early in the flight path. So rather than spend our dialogue with the hitters and emphasize, see the ball deep, see it long, let the ball come in on you, watch the ball all the way in, I stopped using that language altogether. And I put more attention on the hitter's timing, and I put more attention on what the hitter is thinking about and what he looks at as he stands at home plate. That in itself affects how soon the hitter sees the ball early in the flight path. When he sees it early in the flight path, he has more time to put more body into his swing. Now, our science supports this notion. I spoke to you before through other videos about an article done by UC Berkeley researcher Garrett Moss. And Garrett Moss, let me just quote him. He says, the brain perceives speeding objects as further along in their trajectory than seen by the eyes, giving us time to respond. He goes on to say, as soon as the brain knows something is moving, it pushes the position of the object moving forward, so there's more accurate measure of where this object actually is. But you don't need to think about it because the brain does it automatically. Garrett Moss says, in that split second, there's a lot of work for the body to do. Eyes first must find the ball. The sensory cells in the retina determine its speed and rushes this information to the brain. Then the brain sends the messages through the spinal cord that tells the muscles in the arms and legs how to respond. By the time you see the ball, alright, or by the time the brain receives the information, the position of the ball is already outdated. The region in the back of the brain, called the area V5, it computes information about motion and position, and it projects where it thinks the ball should be next rather than where the eyes saw it. He ends his article by saying the brain doesn't work in real time. It's projecting things forward. This is why it's so critical not to tell the player, hey, make sure you get a good pitch, but be active and work on the timing so you pick up the ball earlier in the flight path, because the brain's going to do the rest without you having to think about it. But a lot of times, the hitter is now hitting with hesitation. The hitter is now making sure it is a good pitch, just like the coach told him to do. Make sure it's a good pitch. So now the hitter is a slight pause in his reaction, and he waits to see it. And when the hitter is waiting to see it, a lot of times the hitter does not put himself into striking position. And that striking position, you just pass the moment up. And what's going on with the hitter is this. The moment he sees the ball, that information where the ball is, it's already outdated because the ball is moving. So the hitter needs to put himself in a position where he's ready to strike it before he sees it. The problem is, most players do reverse. They wait to make sure it's a good pitch, and then they get into striking position. Now most coaches, and we're sort of groomed and seasoned to say, well, you want to get in your load. What's that? Right? More definitive is, I'm ready to strike something. And then I see it.